Record to this computer.
Okay.
All right, it's recording. So
Nice.
I'll introduce. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Past the Threshold. This is Honest Reality in a Roll Full of Bullshit. And today we are talking to, I'm really excited to say this, Roque. How did I do?
Good.
It's
Yeah. Good
okay. Let
job.
me try it
Yeah,
again.
that came out nice.
Roque. Ah, I learned that new math. Do you
Nice.
roll Rodriguez too?
I do. Yeah. So it's like,
Go for it, and then I'll copy you.
yes. So it's Roque Rodriguez.
Roque Rodriguez.
There you go. Yeah.
That took like 3 years. I'm so proud of it. It wasn't perfection, but just the fact that I can even like semi-roll my tongue is a big deal. So it's come a long way.
Wow. Nice. No, you did a good job.
Thank you so much. But yes, I'm so happy. So this is the first time we've ever actually talked. And
Right.
you know, reason, like everybody gives Instagram so much shit, and I love it because it gives you the opportunity to connect to like-minded people. And I think like it was like instantaneous. Like the first time we talked, we like went deep. So I was like, okay, this is a really deep soul that I'm talking to. And I'm absolutely fascinated. I'm so excited I get to like take this time to get to know you better.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah. And like we were already kind of talking before the podcast, and like I feel like there's so much that you learn like growing up through the 80s and the 90s that's kind of made you who you are today. So let's like kind of go
Thank
back
you.
in time. Let's hear about little baby Roque. So where did it all start for you?
Man, I guess probably the type of lifestyle that I had growing up, it was super humble. I mean, you know, one of those not the silver spoon type story at all. You know what I mean? But not because it wasn't available, but more because the values and traditions of the family were like more. You had to like have a lot of hands-on knowledge, and it wasn't necessarily like you had to perfect one thing. You had to know like a lot of things. And my my parents were both administrators, or in the school district. My dad was an administrator within the school district, but even though he wore like a suit and tie to work every day, Monday through Friday, one of those guys that wakes up and gets to work like at 5:30 in the morning rather than 8. You know, so he had like a lot of pride in his job, but also like the things that he learned. So when he was at the house, he was like in beat up jeans, like old shirt, like some button up flannel was like the signature thing, and like some old boots. And he was just outside nonstop. So if he wasn't at work, he was outside working. And where they lived is so funny because it's a little bit off, you know, not necessarily too far from town, but we would say town. So like literally we were going to the store. It's like, hey, do you need to go to town? Yes. And that was just to go to the grocery store, you know, and it was like 15-minute drive or so. But they got to, I guess they were able to make do with exactly what they had. So let's just say, just for conversations purposes, that they had a water line that like cracked, and so there was a leak in the water line somewhere outside in the yard, you know. Like literally he had to like go find the leak himself and like dig it up, have all the little like the couplings and stuff for each diameter of like PVC piping, because you never know which one was going to break. Go outside, repair that yourself, and then be like good, you know. It's almost like self-sustainable in your little like ranch type house, you know. So a lot of those little like I want to say man, I don't even know if you would call it like skill, but the ability to make those small repairs, no matter what it be, electrical, plumbing, I mean, whatever needed to be kind of handled in-house. So growing up, of course, I got like thrown in head first when it was to learn all that kind of stuff. So just helping them. And then this is like, you know, 5, 6 years old. And then once you start getting into the 10-year-old, then you're doing things more on your own, but you're still helping. So it was like an evolving, I guess, like a monster that was being built when it came to just being able to adapt and adjust to everything that was going on, and how to do that, I guess, tackle it on your own rather than reach out for help. Meaning like, so in that I kind of like got into this like routine of, if something happened, I need to learn how to do it in order to fix it, rather than look for somebody to fix it for me. Whether it would be auto mechanics, I mean, whatever, you name it. It's just, as it came up, I was just kind of like always wanting to learn. And I think that's where it kickstarted, to where if I thought something was interesting and I wanted to kind of get a handle on it myself, I would kind of like exert more energy into trying to learn that hobby, whatever it was, and perfect it on my own. So it almost became an addiction, you know, because I would start getting so far into it that I would just keep going down the rabbit hole and not know when to stop until I was at peace with myself, knowing that, you know what, okay, I've learned this and I perfected it. So now I feel comfortable in it and I can move on to something else now, you know, rather than
Wow.
half-assing a lot of things. It's just kind of like go full force in the one direction. Once I have it, grasped it entirely, then now I can jump over and, you know, get into something else, which is kind of a bad thing because then I always feel like I need to be into something. Like once I'm,
Mm.
so I don't get bored, you know, I kind of like jump over, okay, let me start learning this. And here we go, you know, and it's just like I don't know. Sometimes I see it as being good and sometimes I see it as being bad, you know?
Yeah, like anything in life, but it sounds like there's just a lot of pride in being self-sufficient that
And,
what's instilled in you.
and that it, I want to say like growing up, it was kind of like, what, you don't change the oil on your vehicle? Like I would talk to my friends, you know, things as simple as that. And they're like, no, I have to go somewhere to do it. Well, no, I do it at the house, you know, and it only because I was taught that. And maybe I didn't feel like I was better than anybody else, but other people weren't given those opportunities growing up, you know? So at the same
Mhm.
time, I liked helping people if it was something that they wanted to learn, even if it was something simple. I'd like try to teach them rather than just keep the knowledge to myself, you know, just because I think that's important.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did not expect that was how the conversation was gonna go. So I'm like,
I'm
so
telling you. I'm telling you.
so I feel like that's really interesting though, because that's like a large part of like who you are and why you do so many different things, because that's like one conversation we kind of had is like how multifaceted you are. And
Right.
most people just have like one thing and they go all in with that one thing, and that might be like their career or whatnot, but then you have these like beautiful photos, and like it's really interesting because like I guess this is my fault for like having my own biases here, but like for someone who like I think of as like a border patrol agent, like I would never expect you to be like to have like these beautiful photos. So it's like there's these two different sides of you. There's this like really like raw, edgy, like hardcore dude. And then there's this like beautiful, like
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. No, I get that a lot, kind of, you know,
yeah.
and I don't mind the judgment or like, you know, like it's just like you people, they profile you, you know, so I don't fit the profile, I guess. But I mean, no one's really meant to fit a profile of what they do, you know, like people have their job and then people have their hobbies, you know, and their hobbies could
Absolutely.
vary, you know, so I think that's important. And more so just to kind of keep real to what you like and not try to fit the profile of whatever it is you're doing, you know. You could
Mhm.
be a dentist, and you know how dentists are. I think of dentists as being somebody a bit more nerdy, you know, just because they're portrayed like in shows and movies. I don't
Mhm.
necessarily know anybody, but that's the vision I have. But then if you see, okay, a dentist, and then let's just say he's like a hardcore hunter, he has like welding as a hobby, you'd be like, what? Like, are you, that just doesn't even jive in my mind. But as long as you're
Right.
doing what you like, I mean, and what makes you happy, I mean, that's what's most important, you know?
Mhm. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So tell me more. So, growing up, this is like who you were. You definitely like took that time to really dive in deep and learn things. Sometimes you felt like it wasn't always the best thing, but it's also really beneficial. Like I would love to learn how to like fix my own car, let me tell you.
Man, that's so expensive these days.
Well, just like the shit that happens to me. Like I was like driving to work one day and it was like right when I moved here. So I
Uh,
can't handle the cold very well, or like I'm like, okay, mindset, remember Wim Hof, you know what I mean? And I think it was
right.
like 10 degrees that day, which isn't like the end of the world, but when you come from Yuma where
Um,
it's like 130, it's kind of shocking.
right, right.
And I was dropping my kid off and I was like, my car's smoking. So I was just like, I really wish I knew what the hell was going on with my car and I could just fix it myself, because now I'm filled in a car with like, it wasn't smoke, it was steam, but whatever, you know.
Right. Yeah. At that point, you don't know the difference. You're just like, oh, shoot.
Yeah. So it really, like in those moments, you're like, well, I really wish I would have taken the time to learn more about this. So like in this given scenario, I'd know how to handle it better because it's huge.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. Yeah. So that's kind of like how it was in my upbringing, you know, and then family and all that kind of stuff came into play. And I'm pretty sure that has something to do with like the kind of person you are, the type of upbringing is just like family, not so much like tasks and stuff outside or things that you had to do throughout your childhood. It's just kind of like the moral or the structure foundation that was instilled at a extremely young age. So like that's kind of carried through, you know. So and whether that makes you like more, I guess, soft-hearted or more of a heart, I don't know. You know, there's some people that are extremely cold and
Mm-hmm.
others not so much. I don't know if that has something to do with it, but it's kind of kept me like, I guess, a little bit grounded when it comes to that aspect.
Mm-hmm.
And and a lot of pretty much the only thing that's really stuck with me, or that's seen more, that's stuck with me, is of obviously like the things that I do outdoors, like the hunting and the weapons and all that. That's something that we've always dealt with too at an extremely young age. Like I was telling Doug and them, I mean it. So there's this every Christmas for like the past literally 40 years now. They've been there's this family that my dad has always been really close to, as far as in the education field. He ended up meeting them at a very young age because my dad was a coach. These gentlemen were like in the educators and administrators. So my dad kind of like started hanging out with them I'm going to say maybe mid 30s, 40s. My dad's like 70 something now, 76. So it's kind of like he started hanging out with these men. These men were a bunch of brothers. So every Christmas they would get together and they'd butcher a pig, which back then was like super normal. And it was just kind of like more like a tradition type thing.
Yeah.
Wake up super early in the morning, shoot the pig, like boil the water, make sure the water's hot enough, because after you shoot the pig, you need to like bleed it out, put it on a table, put the warm water on it, and then shave it. So, and the only way the hair is going to easily shave is with hot water, or boiling water. So you
Mm-hmm.
start doing that. And so this was like an every year, literally on the 23rd of December, they were going to get together at 6 in the morning and do this, without fail, regardless of the weather, it was going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So me being a young, I mean, I was 3. And when I first started going over there, and that's when I literally shot the first pig. And of course, at 3, you don't really know what's going on. You just kind of like, you're listening to what everybody's guiding you to do. And the pig was in a cage. So like, I wasn't having to like manhandle a rifle or anything. It was set on a fence. So you just like aim, and like they're kind of like coaching you, like make sure like, it's between the eyes, an inch up between the eyes. That way it can like pierce the actual skull of the pig. That's the softest spot. So it's like,
Uh-huh.
okay, once it's there, okay, do it. So you pull the trigger and boom, pig dies. So it's kind of like, it's in my blood so deep that now it's just like
Yeah.
second nature,
So what
you
did you
know?
shoot? What was your first gun?
Oh, it was a 22.
Okay, so you shot a
So
little 22.
yeah, a little 22, right? And it was a rifle. And it wasn't that I had it walking around at 3 years old or anything, but that's like literally the first time that I actually shot an animal. And so like
Mm-hmm.
you go like from 3 years old until now, 40, I've only missed 3 years in all those years of getting together with these same men. Now, back then there was 7 or 8 brothers, and now there's only 3, because over the years they've been dying. Obviously they're old. They're older than my dad. So as the
Mm-hmm.
year, just health issues come up. So they start like, one starts falling off, and cancer and things of that nature. So we still get together every year, but it's just like the group's getting a little bit smaller. Now their grandkids are of the age like in the teens, early 20s. So they're doing a lot of the more of the physical labor, along with myself, to
Mm-hmm.
kind of keep the ball going and keep the tradition, I guess, in effect, rather than just like letting it fade out, kind of like with a lot of other things.
Yeah, that is so interesting to me. I'm
Oh,
very,
really?
let's go down this rabbit hole because I enjoy hunting. I don't get to go as often as I would like, but
Yeah.
I'm still trying to figure out what it really means to me.
Uh-huh.
And I've kind of been investigating that. And it's in this own way, it's very spiritual for me.
Really?
Um
No, that's cool. Yeah.
yeah, and like I said, like I'm still trying to figure out and understand like why it's spiritual to me, but I think like just having deeper roots, like a deeper connection with the land and being
Right.
able to be self-sufficient, being
Right.
able to like feel like I can provide for myself, especially as a woman. Like I feel like there's like an extra desire there. And
Almost
like
definitely.
and I'm very sensitive. So for me, like when I had my
Oh,
first
man.
kill, not so much with birds, like for birds I can kind of compartmentalize, but when I
Yeah.
killed my
Right.
first deer, it was like the way that somebody who taught me, like I expected that I would have more like happiness or like I would feel like this like surge.
Uh-huh.
And it
And you
was
didn't?
like it was a mix because there
Okay.
was like tremendous pride and there was like that surge, but then there was also it
Uh-huh.
was a doe, so there was like this like sadness too.
Oh wow,
because
yeah.
it was
Yeah,
like, oh,
yeah.
like that's a life, because like I am
Uh-huh.
sensitive. So, but I also like, I like strongly believe that we should be able to be self-sufficient. I guess this is like overstepping my boundaries, like, but in my opinion, I feel like anybody who could eat a burger or like eat meat can't really judge, because it's like, this is like a purest form. You know what I mean? And this is you putting
True.
forth your effort into providing.
True. Yeah. And like everything else, it's a skill that's not easily like attained. And also I want to say it's kind of like an art as well, because it's what you said, like you have to appreciate what you're killing first, respect the fact that what I mean, you took an animal's life for a reason. It wasn't just because you were bored and you just wanted to go and kill something. A lot of people have that misconception, like it's more they're doing a bad thing by killing this animal. Well, no, you don't understand, because I've killed an animal that I've had meat for years in a freezer, in a deep freezer, and it's just been like, and I'm saying years because it was almost 500 pounds of meat. But
Wow.
you start like you're still my family's still eating off of it. You know what I mean? It's not like that's their sole source of protein or anything, but it still gets thrown into mix. So you're completing that circle. You're not just like killing an animal, throwing it, letting it rot, and just walking away like with no feeling or remorse of any sort. And that's where I still have that. I don't kill animals if I don't need to, per se. The only ones that I do are like the hogs, because that's more of like a hogs and predators. That's more of like an issue down here. But as far as like deer, I've been invited like whitetail hunting, nilgai hunting, and sometimes I'm just like, nah, I'd rather not, because I really don't have space for the meat. One, and
Mm.
two, it's just kind of like, what am I gonna do with this? Like I'm not gonna kill something just now. Okay, I have a cooler full of meat. What am I gonna do? Just find somebody to give it to? Like it's not the same. I'd rather do it like on necessity rather than boredom, or just people say sportsmanship. It's a sport, and for the most part, it is. But some people take it a little bit too far, I think. And trust me, like I'm a hardcore hunter, so I'm not like any kind of like the. I understand what it is to like hunt a lot, but sometimes
Mhm.
people do it like they'd rather just, if it's a dollar amount, they'd rather pay the dollar amount, kill an animal, cut the horns or cut the head, take it back home, and they're completely happy, because they're doing it more for the trophy, not so much for the meat or anything else really, the hide. Like in their mind, it's more of just,
Mm.
I have the money to do it. Let me just pay so I can have a trophy hanging at the house,
Yeah, that's hard
which
for
is a
me to
little different.
understand.
It's a little
Mhm.
different. I mean, and
Mhm.
a lot of people do it. People I know probably do it. But
Mhm.
personally, like and I don't judge them in a negative way. I just don't go about my business like that. So I kind of like, I have more respect for the animals. You wouldn't think so looking at a lot of my
No.
pictures and stuff, but
Yeah.
like I really do. You know what I mean? Like that's just me, my thought on it.
Yeah, I'm completely with you. I think personally it's like a whole new level of gratitude, because I think like when we go order a burger from like wherever, like
Yeah.
most people don't even want to think that it was an animal at one point in time, because it was like it kind of freaks you out. It's like, oh, it's like a dead carcass. But like if you go through the entire experience of like preparing, like hunting, because I mean some locations you really can just go out into the woods and like lay there and like
Right.
something will come up, but like a lot of the times there's like a whole thing that goes into it, and putting all the work into it. It's a whole new level of appreciation and
Oh
gratitude
yeah.
for for the food that you put into your body,
And I'm not
so I
and
think
I'm
it's
not
really
gonna lie,
special.
like I'm not gonna lie, a lot of the hunting that I've done now, it's more of just been for the experience. I
Hmm.
mean, we went to Colorado last year, me
Hmm.
and a group of guys, and we were in the mountains for 8 days. I mean, and you're talking, it's not flat terrain, and you're not just kind of like staying in a nice cabin. We
Hmm.
did ended up having to get a hotel a couple of nights just because of where we ended up relocating, trying to look for animals. But
Yeah.
we personally, it was like 24 miles, like through. I had never been in that kind of altitude, which is some people might not think is a big thing, but 6,000 and 9,000 feet to
Oh,
me
I
being
die.
down here, yeah, it's horrible. So it took a lot of adjusting. But
Uh-huh.
like for me, it was more like I didn't. So I had to buy an elk tag, like get all the gear, because I had never been elk hunting or had to like even think about camping before. So I had to buy all
Hmm.
that crap, get up to Colorado, and then we're up there, and it's like, okay, well, I was completely new at it. The guys that I had gone with, they had hunted elk before, so they kind of like they had an understanding of it. So I was just kind of following the lead, and the entire time we didn't see not one elk. but like I came back still 100% satisfied with the hunt because it was the experience that I wanted, like that I remember for the rest of my life. You know what I mean? Whether I killed
Mm-hmm.
an animal or not, that's irrelevant at that point. It's just for me, I feel more, I guess, at ease, more at peace being in the wild like
Yeah.
that. I mean, for me, it's something that I'm completely,
Yes.
I don't care how much money I spent. It was just a matter of being out there that made it for me.
I I understand what you're saying completely. And maybe I'm totally off and totally wrong here, but because I wouldn't say I'm necessarily in mental health per se, but like
Yeah.
psychology like kind of opens up those doors to explore
Right.
that part of people. And I feel like through time we've become so disconnected with nature that that's a lot of the cause of why we feel the way that we do, like when it comes to anxiety and depression, because like we're so far off track from like who we inherently are. Because if you look into a lot of psychology, it has to do with um, the way that we're designed is built for survival. You know, when we go
Right.
into fight or flight, that's because we're protecting ourselves. Like that's all beneficial. So now that we're like set up with our cell phones, and like don't get me wrong, I love my luxuries. Like I'm not even going to be like, oh yeah, like there's no desire of me that wants to like go beyond naked and afraid by all
Right.
means. But like I do notice that when I get away from the mountains, or like I don't go and connect with nature, like there's a part of me that's missing. So I love that part of you, and I almost feel like those times are like when you really get to like be with yourself and know who you are.
Right. It tests your self-confidence, and it kind of like makes you realize, are you able to do it? Which a lot of people are. But I've spoken to a lot of people and they're like, man, I would never be able to do that. Well, yeah, you
Really.
probably would. They just really don't have that confidence to say like, you know what? Yeah, I can go stay in 14-degree weather. Like in their mind, it's unattainable. Like there's no way they'd ever be able to complete it. But you'd
Mm,
be surprised, like when you're out there, it tests your limits. Everybody has different limits, obviously, whether it be conditioning, just what they're able to like withstand as far as temperature, or
yeah.
like their mental, it weighs down on them. Some people don't have that mental strength, so they feel like automatically that they've lost the fight. But
Mhm.
in all that, it kind of tests you, and I like testing myself. So it
Mhm.
it ends up, I mean, it's interesting to see what you can do and what you start thinking in the times when you do start to panic, because I did panic when I was up there. When I first got
Mm.
there, we ended up I had never tried hiking when it was cold, so I didn't know how to dress properly. So I was layered up, so I was warm, but
Yeah.
almost too many layers. I hadn't grasped the concept of,
Oh.
you have too many layers, the weight, now you're exhausted, now you start getting hot really quick. And then I started getting almost like uh claustrophobic just by what I was wearing on my body, because I couldn't
Mhm.
breathe. So then here I
Mhm.
am, like we had only walked maybe a couple hundred yards, and I was already like, oh shit, like I feel like I can't breathe. And then that started making my mind tell me like, okay, you know what, you really can't breathe, like this is getting serious. So I started
Mm.
to almost panic, like I almost hit that board like right out of the gate, and I'm like, you've got to be kidding me, like I didn't come all this
Mm.
way to like punk out. That's what I was thinking to myself. So I had to adapt like super fast, and luckily I did, because after that it was a cakewalk. But I hadn't ever tested myself that way, even though some people might say like it's not even really a test. Like you're just hiking in 6,000 feet. But for me, I had never experienced like the weather, the terrain.
Mhm.
I mean, any of that. It was all brand new. So I'm glad I did that,
Yeah.
because now like next time, like I'm gonna know exactly what to do, and I'm gonna be cool with it.
There's so much there. Like for one, I know exactly what you mean because I've been in those scenarios too. And I feel you on like maybe other people who've been through more would be like, why are you acting like that? Because
Yeah.
we were in like a, it was skeeting. Yeah. And we were hunting one time
Uh,
and we had to like row back,
oh
and
wow.
like and it was just like freezing cold, and like it's like it was like this like animal part of me had to come out, and I had to be like, okay, like survival, you know what I mean? Like, okay, where's the
Yeah.
bad bitch? Like, you gotta get your shit together and like stay calm under pressure
uh,
right now. And then I remember immediately, like when I got into the house, like I started like panicking, and I was like, what is going on? Because my body was just like
oh
reacting.
wow.
And it's
Yeah.
just a wild thing, you know. But I also get what you're saying, like it's weird and not everybody's like this, but like being able to test your limits or like push yourself a little more, it like brings out this other side of you. And I think that you come out better, more confident afterwards. Have
Right.
you, do you watch Wim Hof?
No, no, I've never heard of that.
Really? So Wim Hof is like this guy who's really into like breathing and cold exposure. And he
Hmm.
climbed Mount Everest, like obviously not all the way up, but he climbed like a
Right.
significant part of it in like his underwear. He's been, him and his like peers who he's taught have been injected with Ebola and like didn't
Oh,
get
wow.
sick, like just craziness. And I've been looking into him
Nice.
more lately with like this whole pandemic going on because I'm like, okay, cold showers and
Oh,
breathing and
yeah.
I'm gonna be okay. But anyway, there's a documentary where these kids, I say kids, but they're in their 20s, like I'm older or something, I don't know, um, go out with them and they get his training and it's like the freezing cold and they have to jump in this water. And I find it really fun watching them because like they're calm
Hmm.
and then they like, you can just watch them like freak and get like really rad and like they're pushing their self and they're like becoming like animals, like, you know what I
Oh, wow.
mean?
Yeah.
Because
Oh,
it's
man,
like,
it's
and
intense.
then you come out like, I fucking did it. Like, you know, like I push myself and you learn these things about yourself and
Right.
that you wouldn't understand if you just stayed comfortable all the time. And I think that that's a life skill. And I wanted to ask you, I'm so chatty today. I think I had too much coffee. Maybe it's the quarantine. I don't know. If, and because I think like I hear these people talk and I was listening to a recording the other day and they were like, yeah, you know, get up, make a schedule. But people don't really slow down because they don't realize a lot of people don't understand what that looks like. So if you slowed down and you thought about that moment when you started to panic, what tools did you use to like get yourself out of that and calm yourself down so you were able to adapt? Because I don't think
You
people
know what?
realize like how to do that.
No, and really, to be honest with you, it was just my breathing. It's funny because you started talking about breathing and stuff. That's literally what it was because I had to tell myself to breathe, because I was starting to almost like, even though breathing is so natural, I started stopping just because of the panic, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And that causes other issues to arise, So I was like, like breathe, don't trip out. One, I was with a bunch of dudes, so I'm like, man, I do not want to look like a bitch. And then and then two, I just literally I needed like, okay, I need to calm down, like, because that it wasn't something I was familiar with, like that feeling, like claustrophobic. I had never necessarily been because I don't, but just the fact that I was like overly insulated and everything was like the pack was strapped real tight on my chest, like everything, all those things played as being like variables to this problem that I was having, and I literally just breathed more slowly and controlled, and with that, I mean, adjusting properly and then continuing on the hunt. But it was that
Mm-hmm.
5 minutes where I just kind of like tripped out a little bit and I was able to adjust. And even, I mean, a lot of guys won't even admit that kind of shit, you know what I mean? Because they're
I
just
love
like,
that you're,
nah,
yeah, I love that you're
like,
saying this. Yeah.
it kind of, yeah, but it's the small things like that that I've noticed. And it's not only in that hunt, but just with anything, like everybody has weaknesses, and don't be afraid to speak of them or admit that you have them, because it's not going to make you any bigger of a person. If anything, you're more of a
Mm-hmm.
douche by not admitting it and
Mm-hmm.
thinking that like you're just like invulnerable. But I think everybody at some point in time, even almost daily, like you come across things that you don't know and you're afraid to say that you don't know it, like you pretend you know it just to kind of like mix in and not be like, or feel like you're like just dumb.
Yeah.
And it's important to just admit things, like if they come up, like just be real, like, I mean, shit, it happens.
Yeah. I love it. And do you feel like you were always that way or do you feel like it's something that you've learned through age and experience?
I think it's something I've learned because, like, you're growing up, and I guess no matter where you grew up at, you have that, no, I need to be tough, like, no, I can't be like that guy, I need to be like, I need to show like either like I'm macho or I'm strong, even though like strong is really nothing with strength, it's more like mental, like, yeah, you can lift a couple 100 pounds and stuff, so you might be physically in shape, but mentally you're a wreck. Like you have zero stability, you have
Mm,
zero like the ability to actually make like reasonable decisions. Some people are just not able to do that. You know what I mean? And they can get better at it, but I feel like, if you as I've grown up, I've learned that it's not necessarily important to have that image of being strong. your actions and everything will kind of like it almost resonates that to other people. Like they're able to notice, not necessarily like cocky confidence, right? But they're able to notice like your reasonableness and your ability to stay like level headed and make rational decisions under situations to where, normally I'd be like, yeah, no, I know that answer. Even though it's the complete wrong answer, but I go like 100% in that direction because I don't want to look stupid and I want to feel like I know, like,
Yeah.
I don't know. So it's just over time I've been able to like come to how I am now. And I've been like this for a few years now, but I like it better. Like kind of being just real. And like, if I know it, I know it. If I don't, well, fuck, I don't. I'll like try to learn it or I'll look into it. But I'm real quick to say like, no, I don't know. Or no, I just like you were talking about that gentleman with the breathing. Somebody could have said, oh yeah, I've heard of that guy and just gone on with the conversation. I'm like, no, I haven't. I've never heard of him. Like, tell me,
Yeah. I mean, even still, I'm a huge component of being vulnerable.
Yeah.
Love Brene Brown. She's like my girl. Um, and I like I know when I talk to people, especially men, I guess
Uh-huh.
because like oftentimes in my opinion, like they tend to have like more of that like you know, like macho-ness. But
Uh,
even still, like sometimes when I get vulnerable, I feel like I'm gonna throw up. Like I'm
oh,
like
really?
yeah, because it can be really hard to express like certain feelings or emotions or show that part of you, and you never know like how people are going to
Right.
take that. But I know I have a tremendous amount of respect for people who are more open about like something that they don't know, or like you were saying, maybe for some people this would have been not an issue, but for me, like
Yeah. Right.
you don't have to like do the whole tough guy exterior. Like it's still, you still can be afraid, but you're still putting yourself out there and you're learning from your experience. So I was wondering, like, was there anything that happened to you, like either big or small, that kind of changed the way that you perceive that vulnerability?
Um, man, I wish I had a big long story like to tell about this, but
I know.
I don't really know, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think so. I think a lot of it's just uh I think it's the way I interpret things or the way things actually like make sense in my mind, which is sometimes complex. I just kind of came to that conclusion, eventually. And I don't know if it was just maybe I must have seen it in somebody else, or I noticed other people acting a certain way and I didn't want to be like that. So I just kind of like started always just trying to like, I mean, being upfront with how I felt, I think, whether it be
Mm-hmm.
personal or just something that was going on. But that kind of like started getting me to where I'm at today. It's just kind of like, I mean, it's not gonna, I understood that, or I guess me like not caring also what other people thought,
Mm-hmm.
that kind of opened the door a little bit easier for myself, and I was able to kind of like just start down that path and maintain. That's the main thing. Like you can start it and then start regressing back because you don't really like putting yourself out there quite the same. But I mean, really, like, who cares? Like it's not gonna make me any greater, nor is it gonna like throw me off the face of the earth. You know what I mean? I'm still here doing what I do, so it kind of like, I don't know, keeps me feeling better about the things that I do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that. And it's like you said, it's an ever evolving process, because there were times when I felt like I didn't care what people thought, or like, I
Yeah.
was vulnerable and I was like, that's fine. But then like there's other times where there may be like parts of me that I'm still discovering. And like when I first let those out, it's almost like like it feels good, but at the same time it's like there is that concern for judgment, like, oh, what are my parents gonna think about this, because they're very like old fashioned and like
Right, right.
conservative, so you definitely don't
Yeah.
want to let them down.
No, most definitely. Yeah, nobody wants to do that.
So also I kind of want to bring it back to hunting, because like I do find hunting fascinating, and it's so hard because it's like we only have so much time. There's so many like parts of you that I haven't even like talked about yet. But like, do you feel like hunting was humbling as well? Like it taught you things about yourself?
Man, it really did, because there's a lot more than just the pulling the trigger and being on target, and or even that. I mean, you can dissect that to an extent, like just the way you're able to like maintain your breathing. Because I still, like, even though I've hunted so many years, I still get that like excitement right when I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to kill an animal, like literally. And when I do, I'm like so excited. Like it's just, the rush just hits me, you know? So that's
Mm-hmm.
never gone away. That's how I know, like, I really like it.
Mm.
and, but I think like it's not so much just killing the animal. It's not so much cleaning the animal. It's not so much like, I guess, the judgments that you have to, or the judgment calls that you have to make, and the decisions throughout that entire process, even if it's just like kill an animal. Okay, now what do I do? Even that type of thing. Like it's built that confidence in me. And I think, I don't know, like it's almost, it's taught me a lot, not necessarily about myself, maybe, but I've been able to hone my skills to like a certain level to where I feel confident not only in what I do, but I could also teach somebody and be patient enough, because I know like the excitement that's involved, to teach them properly rather than just, hey, get it done and let's just move on. You know, like teach them the respect that I have, in other words, because
Mm.
it's something that I know I'm talking about hunting like it's a religion, right?
No, I
But
love it. I love it.
but it's something that like you have to have that grasp. I think it's not like, hey man, I want to go kill an animal. Okay, let's go kill it. Like, no, you have to understand, like, what do you want to do with it? Like, are you just gonna kill it to leave it there? Like, I would feel literally bad if I took somebody hunting and they're like, no, I don't
Yeah.
want it. Well, then what do you mean you don't want it? Like, why do we come out here? You know, like I'm wasting my time like out here with you. If you're just like wanting to literally just say, check it off. Okay, I killed something. You know, that's not cool with me. I've had a
Mm-hmm.
real good friend of mine, like a super good friend, and he's he's a military guy, Cody,
Oh, okay.
and
Yeah.
and Cody, he's wanted to learn how to hunt. You know, like he's like, and he even says, he's like, dude, like that's something that I really want to learn. Like, and Steph, she's real hands on, so she knows like the cleaning side of it. But he literally
Mm-hmm.
wants to kind of like start getting into that because he feels like that need, because he wants to be able to be self sufficient if ever something's to happen or
Mm-hmm.
you're lacking any kind of sustenance, you can always like revert back to hunting, whether it be a squirrel all the way up to like a huge animal, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So we've talked about it, and he said the same thing. He's like, man, dude, he's like, he thinks it's so cool, like just being able to know that entire process and to have it to where you don't have to think, oh shit, I skipped a step. Like, no, like you do it so much that you're so efficient and it just becomes like second nature, you know? So
Mm-hmm.
that hunting has impacted my life in more than a few ways, I'm certain. But I can't pinpoint like what it was. Like I never had that one like, oh, you know what, this kind of like changed my entire life, because like it's all this time it's been my life, you know? So
Mm-hmm.
it's so weird. Like I can't imagine myself without hunting. Like I don't know where I would be.
Wow.
Like probably some wreck.
Really?
No, I don't know.
Wow.
Yeah. That's how
Yeah,
much
that's
like excitement I get
fascinating.
out of it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. Now I'm really, yeah, like and that was a big thing for me too, is like when I first, like again, like I don't have too much experience hunting. I would love to get more experience
Right.
with it, but like when I
Uh
did kill like my first birds, like I was like, okay, like I want to make sure that I'm breasting it and I'm doing the entire
oh yeah.
process like to respect
Right.
that animal, because otherwise, like
Yeah.
what's the point? You know what I mean?
Right.
And
Yeah.
it, yeah, like, and like I said, birds weren't hard, but with the deer, I couldn't, I'm not gonna lie, I couldn't, I'm going to get, like, my goal is to get to the point where I can do it
uh
myself. But
yeah.
it was like, it was problematic. Like when it was, yeah, I won't get into depth, but like that was huge. You know what I mean? But it's like, if you're going to kill an
Right.
animal, like you need to learn how to do that, especially if you're going to eat it. I mean, of
Yeah.
course you're going to eat it. You should eat it, but
Right. I mean, it is a lot of work. Like even now, like some of my best memories, even with the buddies of mine that I hung with, because there's three dudes that I really hang out with a lot, and we're like kind of hunting buddies. And even with them, like if they kill something, it's a shit ton of work if you do it by yourself, even if it's a big animal. I'm saying a big animal like a whitetail or something. So it's always like you help each other out. Like you become an asset. You know what I mean? Instead of just an onlooker, you're helping to try and like get the process done quicker. Whether it's bit, even if it's just a simple thing like holding the leg, cutting here, let me skin on this side, you skin on that side, that type of thing, just to kind of help each other. Because even me myself, I struggle. Like if it's just an animal on the ground and I'm like, okay, I'm here by myself, okay, this is going to take a little bit, you know? So then I'm having to like try to balance the animal enough, like on its back, to try and like get that like chest slice all the way down to the pelvis area. And you're trying to get as straight as you can, you know, because you don't want to be all over the place. You don't want to puncture the stomach. So all of that on your own is kind of like a hard thing. So you have to have like that patience, and back to that like confidence in your skill that you're able to do it efficiently and not make a mess and just start damaging meat. And I mean, nobody likes that
Mhm.
smell, like once you puncture the stomach and then
Yeah.
it gets all over the meat, it turns into a mess. Yeah, it's just horrible, you know?
Yeah.
So like being able to know how to do, or being able to do it and then being able to do it, if we do get something on the ground, it's like we're all efficient to where we help each other, and it just gets done so much easier. And it's like a help rather than a burden of just somebody watching you, you know, like, I don't know. And it has
Mhm.
nothing to do with male, female, none of that. It's just knowing how to do it. You know what I mean? It's cool, I think.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I have to get over the whole like male female thing, but
Yeah.
I do feel like I'm a very feminine woman, so like for me, and guys could be this way too. I'm not like saying
Right.
that they're not, but like again, it comes down to emotions. Like I know I'm a very emotional person. Like I can watch a cartoon
Oh.
and cry. So I did actually. I watched Ozark and I was like bawling. I was like, this is
Oh,
ridiculous.
yeah.
Because I'm just like very empathetic, and I think that that's what makes me good at my job. But sometimes, as we know,
Right.
like our emotions get in the way. So for
Right.
me, honey's been really special, not just in that it's helping me to feel more self-sufficient, and that's very
Hmm.
important for me. Um, but also to kind of teach myself how to not let my emotions dictate my decisions. So like I've been kind of like taken back and like very proud of myself of like, okay, I was still able to complete this task and
Yeah.
not like break down or not get too caught up in like the emotion of it. And I feel like I've been able to translate that into life, like when shit happens in my personal life, being able to
Hmm.
like not like process it like that's significant, but then also say, okay, like now I've got to do this task at hand, like the job still needs to
Right.
get done. How can I separate? Because I think too
Right.
many
Right.
people let their emotions rule them.
And it's so easy to fall into that. You know what I mean? Because why?
Sorry.
Why would you not, like, you know, because emotion is so powerful, you know, the combination of just like emotion and then like your mind, that is like can rule your world. It can make you or break you, you know. And I've noticed that, like, literally, if you allow your mind to just go off, and it can literally like kill your entire week, like and not just a couple minutes, like your entire week. It change your life, just what you allow
Hmm.
your mind to do, you know. So I know it's always say be strong minded, but it's a lot of times it's much easier said than done.
Absolutely. And I think it goes back to like when I think about like people who are more masculine or have been taught like that emotion is bad, like it's not that like sometimes they do suppress it, but then also they don't know how to cope like properly. And like kind of what I'm seeing now with this pandemic is just like the spiral, right? Of like,
Right. Yeah.
oh, like if they're not making money or something right now, it's like what's gonna happen to my kids and then that. And it's like what like yeah, feel how you feel. I'm not going to disregard or say anything negative, but like also like there's nothing you can do about that. Like that's completely out of your control. Like you got to be
Right.
able to handle shit when like shit hits the fan. Like what are you
Yeah.
going to do now? Because sitting here dwelling on it, you know, like what like if I kill an animal, like it's dead, like I can't bring it back to life, I can't use magic powers
Right.
I'm not Pocahontas, I don't know, she didn't do that, but I'm just talking out of my ass
Yeah.
now. But I mean, like, you know what I mean, like okay, like make something useful of this, set goals, do what you
Right.
can. And it's such a powerful tool. And you've already like touched base on this, but I was like kind of writing down things that I wanted to ask you just so we can kind of like
Okay.
dive deeper a little bit
Keep it
into it. But
going.
like one, my first question is like what else like draws you in? Like what's so special about hunting to you that keeps like you almost said you could like you don't know what you do without it.
Yeah.
Like why is hunting so special to you? And then like why do you think people should learn about hunting?
Mm, those are two tough ones.
Are they?
Yeah, yeah, they are. What draws, man? I think I would never let hunting go because that's what I guess my family brought me up doing. So it almost ties me back to like the tradition that they taught me. I'm not gonna let it just dwindle away, or lose interest. Like right now, I can tell you that there's no way I would just naturally lose interest in it. There's no way. But I think it's also taught me, or it's given me the ability to teach teach other people, like whether it be like family, let's just say, I don't know, down the road I have kids or something, or nephews or friends kids or friends in general, like because I've literally taught grown men like how to hunt, you know what I mean, because they didn't have that same upbringing, which is cool, like they just weren't fortunate in that sense, but they've had that interest, and it takes a lot for a grown man to be like, hey man, can you teach me how to hunt? Like I've always wanted to do this. Like it really
Mhm.
takes a lot for a guy to break like that. A
Mhm.
lot of times they're gonna be like, no, I don't care, I've never hunted, it's no big deal, it's stupid. Or it's like, yeah, no, I know how to hunt, when they really don't, you know what I mean? But for a
Yeah.
grown man to literally open up to you like that, it takes a lot, and I'm super appreciative of that, because I feel I know what it takes for somebody to actually admit, like, it's not necessarily a weakness, but some people could see it as that, you know what I mean? And they're just being genuine with you. And so back to your question, sorry, I went way
No, no, it's good.
um like the hunting part of me, I'd say, man, because it's like a lifestyle, that I've
Mhm.
lived for so long, so I don't even see it as being like any option to not live like this.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think all that was just smoke that I gave you, because I'm just still thinking like, what I say to this. I don't know. Can we get back to that? Like keep that on there, please.
Yeah, of course, but like I do want to say that there was a take back there. And it's like it's deep rooted family tradition. It's something that's really
Yeah.
special that was instilled in you. And not only that, but now you have the opportunity to teach other people. And I'm
Right.
I'm sure it lightens them up, like for them, to come back more confident and feel more self-sufficient and learn something that, they weren't fortunate enough to learn growing up. Like that's huge.
It's actually crazy because Instagram kind of like links you with all kinds of people, all walks of life. And I've
Mhm.
been asked like a bunch, like, hey man, like, do you think you could give me classes on doing this kind of stuff? Hey, can I go
Mhm.
hunt with you to learn? Like I get so many like self invites, kind of, you know what I mean? And I'm
Yeah.
totally down. Like if I had the time, like I would literally do it, but I don't. Like I'm very like spread out, I guess. Still enough to where I'm able to manage, but I just don't have like that extra time that it would
Mhm.
take. But I get that as so often, and it's like, and I feel bad that I'm not able to help them, because naturally I would like to help them, but being
Mhm.
that I'm unable to, I'm like, what do I tell them? Like, man, dude, I'm sorry, like I'm just kind of busy right now, or I tell them like, yeah, let me know when you're in town, and I would even like give up some leave to try and like just at
Aw,
least experience it once with them, even though I don't know the dudes.
yeah.
Like I've hunted with randoms like before, and it's just like cool.
Wow. Yeah,
Yeah,
well, I guess
not.
when you retire, that can be something that
Oh,
you
I know,
do
right?
is like the
Yeah,
hunting
I can
trips.
put that
Yeah,
on there.
like Big Chino. I mean, perfect world, right?
Right. Yeah.
I don't know. Joe
But yeah.
Exotic just like crossed my mind, but we won't even go
Oh
there.
God. Yeah, that's insane.
Song. Now I got here kitty kitty stuck in my head. Oh Lord. Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
So my other question was
Yeah.
why do you think people should learn? I've kind of like said my 2 cents, but um what do you
Like
think
as
is
to
so
to learn
valuable
to hunt.
about mhm.
Oh, I think the ability to be somewhat self sufficient and provide, and the respect side of it, and the understanding, because a lot of the time, like ignorance, there's one thing to just like be totally against it. Like if you've done it and then you're just like, you know what, this wasn't for me because of XYZ, totally
Mhm.
cool, understandable, I respect that 100%. But if you've never done it and then you're extremely judgmental, and like the way you say you can go eat a burger but then like hunting is wrong, or you go out on your, let's say, an anniversary dinner, and you have this like amazing steak, amazing sides, amazing this, and both of y'all share this exquisite meal, but then you go back and say like hunting is not good, you know what I mean,
Mhm.
because of XYZ. It's like, come on, like don't be like a hypocrite,
Yeah.
and people are very quick to do that. So I think it's important to learn like and I always say all aspects, because like literally you want to be like completely knowledgeable on the entirety of it, as far as the what it takes to hunt it, the rules behind it, because there's a ton of rules that you have to follow, the licensing and all of that. Seasonal, you kind of like start paying attention to all this. Weather become an aspect, you know. It's just, there's so many aspects that you have to kind of perfect in, because I've been hunting many times where I don't kill shit, you know what I mean? It's kind of like, and you would think,
Yeah.
okay, this guy's a good hunter, yeah, but you do get skunked, you know,
And
like
that teaches you a lot. I feel like
it,
you can learn more from not getting something at times than you can from actually
yeah, because you have
getting
to
some.
accept the failure, you know, and people don't really accept failure
It's
very
hard.
well. Yeah, it's super. And even now, like, I'm like, God, I can't believe, like, okay, so for example, I went
Mhm.
hunting a couple nights ago, and this was before like the lockdown kind of hit this area, you know. So I said, you know what, I have a free night, let me go hunt. So I went and hunted. Wind was horrible, so I was hunting like an area that was south of me. We had a southeast wind, so I was like hoping everything was gonna come out. If something came out, I was predator hunting and hog hunting. But I said, hopefully, if I see something, I'm gonna be downwind of it, so they wouldn't smell me, get spooked, and I'd be able to actually kill something. So the very
Mhm.
first stand that I went to, I was calling for predators, and a fox came out, and actually I heard it rustling behind me. So the way I was set up wasn't the best way, but because of the wind, but I just forced it anyway. I shouldn't have done that. It's like a rookie mistake, but I did it, you know. And
Yeah.
I have all this experience, but I'm like, the hell with it. I just was like, I needed a hunt, you know. I wanted to do it. So, anyways, fox
Mm.
comes up behind me. I hear rustling, so I look back, and I have this thermal monocular, so it like senses heat, but it's magnified 2 times. So your depth
Mm.
perception is a little bit off. So anyway, I scan back. I see the animal, and just because of, I guess, seeing different animals through thermal, you're able to like identify them because of
Mhm.
their shapes. So I knew it
Mhm.
was a fox. It wasn't like a coyote or anything like that. So I'm looking at him like, okay, cool. It was on the upwind side of me, meaning like if he goes out to the call, well, then I'll still be able to get a shot on him, you know. And but he was only like 15 yards away from me, so he was super close. And this is like in the middle of the night, right?
Yeah.
So then he goes back around, and I said, oh shit, he's gonna win me. So then he comes back around on the downwind side of me, and he
Uh-huh.
smells me and leaves. So I got busted. I'm like, God dang, you know, I was like so distraught. I was just like, you know what, I'm
Mhm.
not gonna call anymore. Let me pick up and go look for pigs. Well, when I was picking up the call, I scanned out in the distance, like from my direction, I was facing like southwest. I look and I see this big boar in the middle of the field. So I said,
Yeah.
okay, great. Now it turned into a pig hunt, you know? So I had to
Mm.
go back, get my rifle, my tripod, all my setup, and start like hiking through a field. So I'm walking through the field, stop every so often, like scan. Okay, he's still there. Walk another couple hundred yards, scan. He's still there. On the last like 150 yards, I said, you know, I'm not gonna look. I'm just gonna keep walking so I can get in the shooting range, at least like send around and hopefully drop him. Well, I walked another 75 yards, put the gun down, set up the tripod, get on it, and he's not there anymore. And I'm like, oh my God. So I just walked like over 300 yards just to like not even get a shot at a pig, you know, in the middle of the night, all this heavy gear. I was like,
Oh.
God almighty. And this is just like rookie mistakes, you know, like the wind wasn't right in any of this, but I
Yeah.
forced it. So I still had to like literally walk back to the truck, load everything up the entire time, just like weighing on myself, like, why the hell did you do this? You know what I mean? You should have just
Mhm.
gone around this way, like kind of after action report, you know, like what could I have done different that would have been so much better? But
Mhm.
this is me a couple days ago. You know what I mean? And I've been hunting like all
Yeah.
this time. Would I regularly do this? No, but it's just you're always learning, like always. To say that you're
Mhm.
not, that you know everything, you're lying. Like I can tell you that now. Even the
Mhm.
greatest of hunters, like every time they go out, they learn something new, or whether it be a tactic, a way to set up, they play the wind differently, they monitor the weather a little bit differently, maybe like more regularly. Like, you know, it's just, I don't know, there's so many variables that can change on a hunt, that I don't think there's professional hunters, like paid professional hunters, but that doesn't make them a professional by any means. It's just that they're getting income from it, you know, and so they're like, that's their
Mm.
job. But everybody
Mhm.
makes, it's one of those things you live with, and it's humbling, like back to what you had said, because
Yeah.
like I'm like, shit, you know, like I could have had an animal, and I had already, the cooler was in the back of the truck, I had taken all my knives, like everything was just going to be played out to where I was going to clean it myself, you know. I had that in
Mhm.
my mind, but they didn't go that route because I was just unsuccessful, and I was just dumb with my planning, you know. But
Yeah.
it's
Well, it
crazy.
goes back to emotion, right? Like it's such a life skill. I feel like there's so many times when you've told me a story or talked about your experiences where I'm like, okay, like how does emotion play into this, or like
Right.
how, you know, when you're about to go in panic mode, like how are you able to calm yourself down? But like there, you know, you said, you tell yourself you're forcing it. And it's like, how many times, I mean, I'm kind of going off the trails, but to me, like, this is my job, so I can't help but relate it.
Uh,
Like, how many
right.
times in life do you force things, or like you don't have that patience
Oh
when you
yeah.
feel better,
Right.
and and you push things, and then like they don't work out, and then you're beating yourself up. And like, how, you know, also like, how do you come back from failure? Like when you do make those minor mistakes, and then they lead to failure or like a fallback, like how are you able to pivot and come back around, you know? But
Right.
I mean, right now, like in my life, I am like the queen of forcing shit to happen. And like, you know what happens? It doesn't work out.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. No,
that's some like
100%.
Gandhi shit right there. Like hunting can teach
Yeah.
you, can make you a very wise person if you allow it, for
You
sure.
have and you have to allow it, and look at it more than just an experience, more than just something you're doing tomorrow. You know what I mean?
Mm,
If you're able to do that, you grasp more of it rather than just being like, um instead of a trip to the grocery store, it's like actually you're going to learn this entire way, like open your mind, absorb
mhm.
everything that's going to happen, and then be able to break it down, kind of like what you just said, like reflect back, like what could I have changed, what could have been better, like maybe I was successful, but you know what, if I would have done this, I would have been a little bit better at it. You know what I mean? There's always room for growth. and,
Right.
and that's what's actually, it interests me so much because I'm always feel like I can do better, like I'm never good enough in my eyes, you know? So there's always
Mm.
something that I could do just to become a little more efficient that would
Mhm.
benefit maybe not only me, but somebody that I go hunting with, you know?
Yeah.
Whether it be like, hey, bro, you know what? Because my buddies there, we're always like, I'm always forgetting shit. And it's like, dang, dude, did you bring zip ties? Oh no, but you know what? I have 550 cord, or I have something else you can use, you know? So like back
Mm.
to being an asset, you know what I mean? Because so
Yeah.
now, like before I leave, we have like a gear check, like, and even, it's just a hunt for the evening, but it's like, okay, we have our bag, batteries, knives, let's just say the extra batteries, because two different types of batteries.
Preparation.
Yeah, extra ammo. I mean, I have ammo, but he might not have ammo. So now you're kind of like, you fall back on each other because it's
Mm.
I don't know. You just got to be ready for whatever, you know.
Yeah, man, I get lost in your conversations. It's so fascinating. Like I can't help but bring everything back to psychology, right? Because so something that I learned early on, and this was, I think I was listening to a podcast, Science of Success. It's really
Right.
interesting, and they were talking about like um what you were saying about like never being, well, you didn't say never being good enough. That's a bit like harsh, but like always wanting to improve. But
Right. Right.
it there was a marshmallow test, and in the,
Mm.
you might have heard this, and it was about like the kids would go into a room and they would have a marshmallow in front of them,
Okay.
and they would test whether or not, they would say, okay, I'm going to walk out of the room, and they would say like, okay, are you going to eat? Some of the kids would eat the marshmallow right away, some of them would like lick it, you know,
Uh.
some of them would just not touch it, and then they told them that like if you didn't eat it, you would get a second marshmallow. So
Uh.
so they did like longitudinal studies, and this was in, I read this in Emotional Intelligence, but it's like a pretty common study that people know about. um
Mm.
and they found that the kids who were able to like hold off on the instant gratification, and like instant gratification in hunting is like huge. I know in shooting, I love still matches because I was like ding ding ding, oh, I feel good about myself, but like was I really that good? No. We'll talk about that
Right.
later.
Uh.
Sarah won't go on her tangent about shooting right now. But what they discovered was the willpower. The kids who had more willpower, you know, did better in school. They like went to college. They had better success like in their career. However,
Right.
something that they're just now looking into and understanding is that they had a lot of pressure, and this is
Mm.
related to like suicide and depression, because
Oh
it was
no.
like they were never good enough, and they were just like stressing themselves out to the wire and not
Right.
taking care of themselves, so their health was worse, more, you know. So what, so this one scientist, what he discovered is that you can still have that willpower, but it's also, and this is what I heard from you, equally important to have pride. So those values that were instilled in you at a very young age about having
Mm.
pride in what you do and doing it all the way versus half-ass is significant. compassion and
Right.
gratitude. So like when you're in like connection is obviously like huge when it comes to like mental health. So being
Right.
able to have that time to get away from like society and kind of be in the woods and connect on a deeper level with your friends and like have that gratitude and that appreciation of like, hey, because think back in the day, it was like, can you hear me okay? It says my connection is unstable.
Yeah, it just broke up for like 2 or 3 seconds and then you came
Okay.
back. Yeah,
Okay.
so it was good.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so like, back in the day when we didn't have grocery stores and like all this other shit, it was like, oh man, like I didn't catch fish for my family. And so your
Right.
buddy, Roque, would be like, hey man, I caught an extra fish. Like you feed your
Yeah.
family. The kind of gratitude that I would have for a buddy who gave me a fish when I couldn't feed my family is like you're just pouring like your heartstrings for them, or like if you need help with shelter, then I would come around and be like, hey, let me help you build your shelter. So that was
Right.
like that's the core of who we are and what really makes us feel better and stronger and better connected. So like for me, when I hear you talk about hunting and like what it does for you, it's bringing back those core values that were instilled in us, like back in our ancestry that we
Right.
oftentimes don't have today, you know?
Yeah, no, and that's true. And you
Ooh,
know what? And
compassionate.
it's there's a like what you said about a lot of the, I'm not going to say all hunters, but the majority of hunters, they have that, hey, I have this, here's some of this. Like they give away a lot of what they have to their friends, and a lot of hunters are I'm not going to say all because some are pieces of shit, but you are going to have those that are actually like about that. They all have that structure. It's like a brotherhood times 10, when it comes to like, oh, you're an
Mhm.
outdoorsman, I'm an outdoorsman. Like you get two hunters together and they'll bullshit like for hours talking about stories, what they hunt, what
Aw,
calibers, right? It's just unreal. And I've noticed this because
yeah.
I just linked up with a buddy of mine in January in Colorado. I hadn't met the guy. This was all through social media, through SOFLETE. We ended up linking up like that, and he's like, "Hey, bro, you want to come duck hunt up here?" I'm like, "Well, yeah, why not?" I had never duck hunted anywhere outside of like the southern Texas area, so I said, "Yeah, cool." So we scheduled it. Like the dude is super hospitable. Let me stay at his house. Him and his wife, and I mean, it was just amazing. The trip up there was. I'm so glad I did it. But two guys from completely different walks of life, literally,
Mm.
we always had something to talk about. We're like bouncing ideas off of each other. Oh, you do this, well, I do this, and oh, like what do you shoot down there? I shoot this. It was just nonstop for 4 days, and
Wow.
we were able to relate like if we knew each other for years, and it was our first time ever
Yeah.
meeting each other, but we had that similarity, so that hunting tied us together, you know
Yeah.
and like a lot of hunters, not all of them, but some of them, they have like that lifestyle, that's whether it's gear or camouflage or fitness, a lot of that comes into play. So it's like if you're able to embrace it all and you
Hmm.
actually have that lifestyle in you like every day of the week, then it's easily identifiable from somebody else. Like, oh, that guy, I can see somebody like, oh, that guy, yeah, he's got to be a hunter. You know what I mean? Like, just
Mm.
this guy's wearing camo to dinner with his wife. You know what I mean? Like, he's a hunter. But so back to like I know
Hello,
my,
life.
yeah, but my buddy, he's like, hey, bro, I just killed a Neil guy. Like, you want some backstrap? Yeah, cool. So he
Yeah.
brings it to me, and it's like it's badass to have that, and same thing. Or like other
Hmm.
friends, cousins, they fish. Like, hey, I just caught some fish. You want some? And it's funny. Let me go back. So
Hmm.
my aunt, they live up along the water. My dad and my mom, they'll go and visit them a lot. Well, my uncle, he's a big time fisherman, so he's always giving my parents like bags of like fresh caught fish. So my parents are always like frying fish, cooking fish in different ways, grilling it,
Mm.
but it's stuff that's given to them from my aunt and uncle that are fishermen. So even though it's like this is what they did way back, like our ancestors did, like as far as bartering and just providing for other families, like or friends of families, it still goes on today, like 100%. And
Hmm.
it's awesome to see that, because a lot of it, back to the tradition of like knowing and respecting the animals and all that, there's also more to that lifestyle, and it's like the giving part.
Yes. Yes. I
Yeah.
love it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you have a new like side gig of educating people on hunting and like the importance of it. And like
Yeah.
you say man and brotherhood, but like, and it's like I have this like ripped in me of like, should I separate women from men? But I can only speak from my own experiences, and as a woman, I think that it's even more significant because it's like we're not really known for hunting, you know what I mean? Like it's
Right.
like just
Yeah.
like when I was doing the shooting stuff, like it's not like there was a lot of women in my corner who were doing the same thing as me.
Mhm.
And I
Right.
think that it's extra special that we get connected with that part of us too, because it's almost like known as masculine, but
Right.
it's extra special to as a woman to feel like you can provide for yourself and to feel that self-sufficient of like, if I don't have a man or if he dies, like I can still make it. And like, that's badass, you know, like what a confidence boost of like, let me put some like blood on my face and like,
Yeah.
I don't know, I'm getting crazy now. I'm losing my shit. Okay. Anyway. But yeah, you know, it can be a sisterhood or like a
Oh yeah,
connection. And
most definitely.
what saddens me, and this is it's kind of a strange time, and it's kind of been tossed aside because of what's going on in society now, but for a while, um what we have to understand that what people I hope are trying to do are taking away when they say toxic masculinity,
Right.
the ego side of like
Yeah.
the tough guy, I can't be vulnerable, like I'm gonna get in fights for no reason. But they're not saying take away like that masculine raw side of you. And I
Mhm.
think that hunting, because like it's so hard for men today. I mean, in your career, like you picked a career field that's a little more like we haven't even discussed that. Um,
That's like part two.
I know, yes, yes, we're doing a second, that's for sure. You know, like in law enforcement or you
Yeah.
know in border patrol or in the military, like there's still these jobs that do give you that part of you that's like masculine, but a lot of times men have to settle for like something that doesn't bring out that side of them. And it's
Right.
like
No, most
so
definitely.
yeah, and I feel like sometimes men and women like they lose their self. Like they lose that wildness
Oh
inside of
yeah.
them and their soul. Like they don't feed their soul enough. And
Right.
that's so, and I just think it's so important for men and women alike to like be sure to instill that wild side of you and connect with that inner masculine side of you. And I don't know where I'm going with this. Help me out.
No, but you know what? Like you'd be surprised with what you'd be able to do. Like, like before you killed an animal, you probably thought like, man, I don't think I could do that. And once you did it, you're like, okay, I can do this. You start cleaning an
Yeah.
animal and you're like, you know what? I can do this too. Like people,
Yeah.
they surprise themselves on their own ability. Like a lot of
Mhm.
people don't feel as though there's something they're capable of when in reality,
Mhm.
you're 100% capable of it. You just have to be pushed in that direction by somebody, whether it's forcefully or if you feel obligated, like, oh shit, okay, I gotta go hunt, like whatever. But you never know.
Mhm.
You just might love it, and it might turn something on inside of you that may have been
Yes.
lacking.
We lose that. Yeah, we
Yeah.
lose like what feeds our soul, like that wild part of us because we have to fit into like society standards of what's acceptable. And it comes with like, you know, we recently did like some crazy stuff on like intergasm, but like, you know, we like it was saying like you were saying before, like there were probably parts of you that you didn't really open up or you weren't vulnerable to
Yeah.
discuss because of like how people would depict you, and eventually you just get
Right.
over that. But like same with sexuality, like that's a part of who we are,
Right.
just like that wildness or like that des- I would even say desire to kill, desire to like
Ooh. Yeah.
okay, like now I sound like
Wow.
a psychopath.
Yeah.
um you know what
Oh
I
yeah.
mean? But
Yeah. It's like the forbidden fruit, like you
mhm.
you have that I mean, not maybe not everybody thinks that way, but there are guaranteed people that do, and they need to find something to get them out and make them feel alive, whatever it may
Yes,
be, whatever it
well
may
said.
be. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that other one might need to be edited out. But
I'm losing my shit, okay, I'm losing my shit over here.
no, but yeah, like and and some people it's just something so simple can make them feel so alive. Like they feel like they've lost out their entire life or they wish they would have started it decades back. when
Mhm.
other people, it takes a lot more to get that surge to flow through them, you know. But I've seen it.
Mhm.
Like, I've seen it. People, they feel so appreciative just being able to get out and do something different, you know, something
Yeah.
they thought that maybe was just unattainable. Like, they thought maybe they would never have that opportunity to do that, but they do it, and they feel so thankful. And you can just tell, like, and they mean
Mhm.
it from the bottom of their heart, because literally it opened up their eyes to a completely different aspect or a different world. And it's really cool.
That is. I felt like
Yeah.
my heart just grow like 3 times bigger when you said that.
Oh, thanks. Yeah.
This
No,
is
I really feel like that's a big part. And I like to think that people weren't offered that chance at a younger age. You know, that's in my thinking. It's always maybe they just haven't been able to experience that. I've always, rather
Mhm.
than they've never wanted to experience that and now they decided to, you know, because I always kind of want to think that
Mhm.
people never turn something like this away from their life, because I feel like it's so like special, you know? So I
Mhm.
would rather you tell me, I know I've never had the chance. Then it's like, okay, awesome. You know, like, then now you're going to have the chance, compared to, I just never liked it. I never wanted to do it. But now that I did it, that's more like, I guess, more bitter to me, that it doesn't sit
Mm.
quite the same. I don't know. It's kind of weird, maybe because I have like that love for hunting, or the love for the outdoors and stuff. So
Yeah.
it sits with me different.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I love it. Yeah, it's so funny. Like that's why I love not structuring these conversations, because you just never know where they're going to take you. And like there in no way, shape, or form did I think that this whole entire conversation was going to be about hunting.
No,
But
me either. Yeah.
yeah, but it's something I'm absolutely fascinated with and I want to get more into. And I think that when you understand like this the spiritual side of it and how
Yeah.
it allows you to connect with other people and gratitude and like the other parts of it other than just like I killed an animal, you know, the like I don't know the that side of it. It's
Yeah.
really meaningful.
And it's different when if you, because there's a lot of people that are like pro hunting, that they try to make more of a, it's almost like a politicking type thing, you know. So it's kind of like they're either spokespersons for some sort of organization. Then it's real structured and real kind of like you're reading a book type thing. But if it's just
Mm.
normal people talking about it and real organic, then you
Mhm.
kind of like sense it to be like way more important and way more real, you know, like this is like the real view, rather than somebody that's relying on some sort of income from it, you know what I mean? And then
True.
you don't know, you take it for face value, because you don't know, is this sincere? Is it not? I mean, can I
Mhm.
swallow this, or should I just spit it out? You know, because this is just a bunch of BS. So
Mhm.
where the where it's coming from, like the actual source of the information or the view, I think that has a lot to do with it. And that's what you have to decipher. Like, some people are not very good at separating the two, you know. So
Mhm.
and I get it, you know, that's just kind of the way everything is in life, right? But if it's real, then that's when you know that it's something that you can actually, like, you know, rely on.
Mhm.
But anyway, yeah.
Incredible. Yeah. Well, I thank you so much. I feel like I've learned so much not only about you, but just like things that I can take with me and instill moving forward. And I really appreciate you coming on to the podcast and talk with us. It's been such a joy. You have like the best smile. I bet you get that a lot,
Thank
don't
you.
you?
No, no.
Are you serious? All your
No, I mean,
girlfriends aren't like, oh my
no,
God.
yeah. I have a couple nicknames, but I'll
Do
keep
you?
that off of here. Yeah.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Well, I'm gonna turn this up and then I'll chat with you. But
Okay.
I just want to say thank you so much to everyone. Our podcast has been growing, and I think that it's just because we're just open and discuss things that maybe other people don't feel comfortable with, and like we always like take it to the next level. So I really appreciate you guys
Uh,
for listening. And if you can, please rate and review us so we can continue to grow. And we will see you next week.